Hello, hello, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream today. What are we going to talk about today? Let's talk about what's been going on in the past week or the past 2 weeks that I haven't been doing these live streams, or maybe the past month. But let's hang out for a few minutes to see who shows up in the live chat. Maybe we'll answer a couple questions as well as me just talking about some stuff that I did the past week, of course. Hence the weekly recap. But let me take a quick look what I covered this past week. First off, the video that I did yesterday, or 2 days ago now, which was the brand new, to me at least anyways, the NZ8, which I got in recently. Shout out to the folks over at Value Electronics for finally getting that over to me. I've been waiting a whole year. I sold my NZ7 in order to get this NZ8, or sorry, NX7. I sold my NX7 last October. Once that news got announced, I sold it in like 2 days. Like after I announced it, it sold super quick. And then I was holding out because it was supposed to get delivered like 3 weeks later. Fast forward 1 year later, I finally got it. But what's cool is that now that I have the NZ8, I also have the XW7000ES, which is the Sony flagship. So it's like JVC's mid-range and then Sony's flagship projector I have on hand in my house right now, which is pretty cool. Huge price discrepancy between the two. The NZ8 is like $16,000, and then the Sony 7000 ES is $28,000. A little bit ridiculous if you ask me, but it is what it is. You know how Sony is with their pricing. Really quick, let's see who's in the chat. What's up, Loda High? How are you liking the NZ8, and what projector did you have before that? Well, just like I said, Sony. Load High, I take it that you don't watch my reviews, at least my projector reviews. I have several online. Also, if you guys are not getting any notifications of my videos, uncheck and then recheck the little bell notification so you get the uploads, because sometimes I get questions on topics that I've already covered in previous videos. Like 2 days later, it's like, hey Shane, what projectors are you using? I was like, I literally just did a review on the projector that I've had for the past 5 months in my theater. So I'm guessing that some folks are just not getting the notifications. They're just missing my reviews, or they're just not retaining the information after watching it or something. So I don't know. But if you're not getting the notification on videos that I've covered in the past, then re-click the bell notification if you are subscribed, and then re-click it again so that you know what videos have come out. Mr. Motown, what's up? Cool Valley, you're too early. Critical Drinker is live now. Also, cannot watch both of you at the same time. Damn. Okay, I don't know who Critical Drinker is, but I'm on here though. I'll probably answer your questions. I don't know who he is. Maybe he won't answer your questions. At least you'll get an answer from me. Maybe. What is the drink? I'm drinking some grape juice. Today we've got some fermented grape juice. This is all I have left, and then we're gonna move on to some mango flavored LaCroix before I start my dinner in another hour or so. What's up, Jean Sebastian Grisset? What's up, buddy? What's going on? But yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, NZ8, finally got it in. I have not hooked it up yet because I need a helping hand, because it's too heavy for me to hold it up over my head and then clip it into the mounting bracket by myself. So I got Bill coming over tomorrow. He's back from being on the road, so we're going to hang that tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to do a little vlog about it or not, but it's going to be going up on the mount tomorrow, and then I'm going to set the 7000 ES on the little projector stand that I have, and then I'm going to hopefully run a little comparison tomorrow as well. Which brings us to the comparison video that I did a few weeks ago. Yeah, I'm going to say about on September 15th, I did the NZ7 against the 7000 ES, which is the model below the NZ8. Although they do share the same lens, as far as I can tell from the specifications, I think the biggest thing is the 8K upscaling and the lumen output. So it's brighter, and then it has better 8K upscaling as well. So definitely interested to see how that looks, because I wasn't exactly blown away by the 8K upscaling on the NZ7. I actually thought it kind of made images look a little bit softer, at least for 4K anyways. So I'm anticipating it to look a little bit better on the NZ8. So we'll see. Transylvania, what's up with the super chat? Thank you for the $10 super chat. Well, $9.99 super chat. How are you doing? Any news on the LG QNED 2020 TVs? Watch any good shows recently? I don't have any news on the QNED 2022 TVs, but I know that we're going to go, I think, maybe check out the 97-inch G2 either tomorrow or maybe next week. So we're just waiting for the folks over there at Value Electronics to pick that up so they can mount it on their wall. So we might do a little video on that. And then as far as like TV shows, I did start watching Dahmer yesterday. That's a good show. That's at least the first episode is pretty good. Like I did do a little bit of homework on Dahmer, you know, like years ago. So I didn't get to episode 2 yet, but episode 1 is basically him getting caught from one of the guys who escaped and got caught. So I think that was I don't know how the show's working, but I'm guessing they're starting from the back and then working their way forward. But so far, man, great show so far. Wonderful show. Although it's a little bit dim on Netflix. Definitely not an HDR barn burner if you're into the bright specular highlight stuff. So that's not the case with that show. But I've been watching that. I just finished watching She-Hulk, the last episode. I think it's, what is it, episode 6 or 7 or something like that, the one with Daredevil. I think this is the best episode of the show. So far, She-Hulk has kind of sucked for me. It's not my type of show. A little too comedic, although I get what they're going for. But yeah, I think it's a little too jokey for me. You know, I guess they're trying to keep in line, maybe keeping it family friendly, although She-Hulk seems to be getting around a lot. That's for sure. But definitely more on the comedic tone, a la Thor Love and Thunder. If you missed the review for Love and Thunder, I did a review for that, I think 2 weeks ago. I didn't do the 4K Blu-ray because I thought the movie sucked so bad. I couldn't sit through doing a 4K Blu-ray review. Although I did review it on either digital or Kaleidoscape, one of the two. But the two recent shows that I've been watching is Dahmer, She-Hulk, Andor. I've been watching Andor. That's a good show. Slow burn for sure. Picks up after Rogue One. So if you're familiar with Rogue One, although no lightsabers, no force talk so far, I don't know what they're going to do in the coming episodes, but really kind of a slow, dramatic burn. I mean, there's prostitutes and sex in Andor. Who knew that there's prostitution and sex in Star Wars? But there is in this television show, and it's pretty good so far. So those are the 3 main shows that I've been watching. So thank you for the super chat there, Transylvania. Loda High says he gave up on She-Hulk. Well, the last episode was pretty good, though. Daredevil's in it, so if you're a fan of Daredevil, it's pretty good. There's actually a pretty good fight in it that's kind of reminiscent of the hallway scene in the Netflix show. If you've seen that, then you know what I'm talking about. Do they let you have some of the stuff you review? I'm assuming you mean by electronics. Do they let me keep the stuff that I review? Well, they're definitely not letting me keep $28,000 projectors or $16,000 projectors, so that's a no. If I want to buy something, I can buy something from them. But no, they're not letting me keep the stuff that I review. So that's a no. I'm curious when any projector is going to support Dolby Vision. I'd really love that. The color format is very wide, but still hoping it'll happen at some point soon. What's up, Mia Francis? Mia Francis is one of my Patreon supporters. So if you do want to join my Patreon, you can also join my Patreon as well for $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. So thank you, Mia, for being a Patreon supporter. If you guys are interested in that, you can find links in the video's description as well. But any projectors, I don't know of any big time brands like JVC or Sony or Epson doing Dolby Vision. Although I know that Hisense in their PX1 Pro has got Dolby Vision, and also their L9 I think has Dolby Vision as well. But when I tried it, it did not work very well. It made the image very pink. So I don't know if they worked out the kinks on that beta software. Maybe one of you guys in the comment section here has one of those Hisense UST projectors. And also, I think the AWOL projector is supposed to get Dolby Vision as well. So it seems that UST projectors are going to be the first out of the gate with mass market Dolby Vision support. If Hisense and AWOL has anything to say about it. I have an AWOL projector, and I should have a review done for that probably next week, although it does not have the Dolby Vision update yet. Although it did recently get a 3D update, which looks spectacular, by the way. I've been watching a ton of 3D videos on the AWOL projector, AWOL, and it looks great. I'm going to say it looks just as good as the Sony 7000 ES. It's even brighter than the Sony 7000 ES. I think it's a 3500 lumens for that UST, and it looks awesome. I have that in my living room, and it's just like fantastic. I've been watching, I must have watched Avatar like 6 times on this projector so far. But yeah, as far as the big brands, no to Sony JVC. At least they're not sharing any information with anybody that I'm affiliated with. What's your opinion, and what do you like better, the X85-95J or A90J83? I would think the X95J, maybe because it's a year newer. Are you talking about the X95K, or are you talking about X95J? Because X95J is last year. It's newer, so better for future proof, and that it also comes, you can use the webcam. So I'm assuming that you mean the X95K, I think. I would pick, personally, I like to have a brighter television set for HDR. Although you might like OLED. OLED has definitely better black levels, but really the X95K is not that far off, despite whatever negative reviews that you might have seen online. At least on the 85, it looks pretty good. Actually, the 85 looks fantastic. I mean, I have the 85 in my living room. I use it all the time. Use it every day. Basically, it's my daily driver as far as TVs. So if you got $5,000, $4,500, $5,000, I don't know what it costs right now, but if you like a bright HDR image, then X95K for me, winner. I still like OLED. I have an OLED in my bedroom and an OLED in my little lobby area. I don't use them that much. I do use the OLED in the bedroom quite often. But for me, listen, I like the bright image. The mini LEDs are just brighter. I'm a fan of bright images, and going from back and forth between the two, I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of the bright images. And you are correct, X95K. But I get it. I get why people like the OLEDs. You do get that perception of brightness in a dark room. So if you're watching in a dark room, maybe you might like OLED. But for me, I think that the X95K has a more movie theater-esque look. I tend to think LEDs have a more cinematic look than OLEDs do. OLEDs tend to kind of crush detail in really, really dark scenes, whereas LEDs, or at least really good LEDs, tend to have a bit more shadow detail, as far as I find. Whereas, just OLEDs just seem to just crush detail in the shadows, in the blacks, because they just get so black that you just can't see shit sometimes when it's really dark. But that's my personal preference. You might be different. Yeah, I know none of the major brands have support for Dolby Vision, and that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, me too, man. I'm assuming, I'm guessing that since they're going like mainstream, more quote unquote affordable price points with their laser projectors, JVC and Sony and Epson, um, I would assume that Dolby Vision has got to be coming pretty soon because JVC does support HDR10 plus, and with some side by side comparisons, the 10 plus, rare as it is, did tend to look a little bit better than the static HDR10. So, I mean, if you could do that with HDR10 plus, I'm just gonna say, I'm sure Dolby Vision's got to be coming pretty close, especially if these UST projectors are doing it, because these long throw projectors are really bright. They're just as bright as the USTs. So I'm fingers crossed that we do see some Dolby Vision. Maybe the next generation. Probably not 2024. Maybe 2025 would be my guess, because I think these projectors have like another year left in their life cycle because they've only been out what year now, 2 years maybe. So typically like 3 years life cycle is for long throw projectors. So I'm guessing about 2025 maybe. Maybe we'll see some Dolby Vision. Does a PS5 or Series X really look that good on home theater screen? Are you saying home theater screen as TV screen or projector screen? But yes, either way, it looks great on a projector screen or a TV screen. I suppose, and depending on what game you're playing. But yeah, equally as impressive on a projector or a television screen. But let's go back really quick. Let's talk about the recap that I did yesterday. If you missed, maybe not yesterday, if you missed the video that I covered on September 23rd, which is about 2 weeks now, I did a video on the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which is my first vehicle slash audio review. It was more of an audio review than it was a vehicle review because I don't review cars, but although I do like cars. But I did the Macintosh in the Jeep Grand Cherokee. I'm not really sure why they let me review it a year after everybody else had reviewed it. So it's like I barely got any views on it because it had already been done like a year, like a year before. But I'm thankful for the guys at Macintosh for letting me borrow $110,000 vehicle for a few days to try out the audio system. And I remember when it first came out, they dropped the images. It was just of the Macintosh meters, and I was like, wow, they actually put analog meters in a car. I was like, how sick is that? But then it just turned out to be just like a digital screen, just like a digital app. I wish they would have released that app because I think it's just like an Android app, like an APK in their operating system. But it's still pretty cool to see Macintosh digital analog meters bouncing around in a car. So that's pretty kick-ass. I know Macintosh used to make audio gear for cars back when I was in high school. And back then, I couldn't afford that stuff back then. That was like me right now living back then. I would have to be me now back then to get any of that stuff. And it was pretty sick back then. They even had amps with the meters back in the day with the glass cover. I'm sure some of you older folks in the chat probably remember that, but yeah, no, not that's not the case here. This is all digital. Everything's all touchscreen and stuff, so it's like the digital meters. But that was a great sounding vehicle, one of the biggest vehicles I've ever driven. It's kind of like driving in a minivan, but with a bunch of TVs and touchscreens everywhere. If you ever need to, get your your audiophile on in your car, definitely check out the Jeep Grand Cherokee, man. Nice vehicle. A lot nicer than some of the Jeep stuff that I've seen recently as well. Like I own a Jeep Wrangler, and if you've ever been in a Jeep Wrangler, these Chrysler or Stellantis vehicles have just cheap plastic inside. I've owned a couple of Wranglers and a Jeep Renegade, and the interiors are always kind of cheap feeling. I'm sure some of you guys know what I'm talking about. But this is definitely premium. It's got nice premium leather. What was it? It was like nice brown leather or something like that. Nice, very nice lush leather. Not as lush as like a Lexus, but it's still pretty good for Jeep. But yeah, definitely check that video out if you missed it. That was on September 23rd, so about 2 weeks ago now. Good video, man. I had a fun time doing that video. Unfortunately, I only had like 3,000 views on it, which was like, it sucks. You know, what sucks is like sometimes I'll spend a lot of time in these videos, like reviewing a car. It takes a lot of time, like cameraman, and then getting the lighting right, getting your ND filters right so you're not blown out in the shot. It's like you get 3,000 views and it really sucks. Whereas I can do a video like this, sitting here, and just clip it out and get like 20,000 views. It's like the videos that take me zero effort, I'll get more views on. Whereas like I'm driving around a $110,000 vehicle with like awesome cinematics and nobody watches. I'm like, God damn you guys. Some of you subscribers, man. Watch that shit. It's good stuff. Come on. If you're an AV, if you're an audio guy, I don't know why you wouldn't watch it. It blows my mind sometimes. Just blows my mind. Listen, some shit I can't afford. I can't afford a Bugatti or a Ferrari. I'll still watch those videos. So weird, man. The audio people are so finicky when it comes to money. I just don't understand it. But video after that was pretty popular. The Denon X3800H, which I know is going to be super popular whenever I do that review. I did that last week. That is Denon's brand new 9.4 channel receiver. 4 independent subwoofer outs. I don't think any one of them are in parallel, so the word is that it's supposed to be independent. I have yet to plug it into my system. You know, one thing about being an AV reviewer, when you get these receivers and processors in, especially when you have like 16 channel, actually, how many channels are out? I got like 16, 17. I got like 20 channels. I got 20 channels, so it's like I gotta disconnect all 20 channels, move the receiver in, plug everything back up, make sure everything's labeled, because if you don't label everything, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare if you do not label everything. So any of you guys, even if you're not a reviewer or whatever, just do yourself a favor and get yourself a little labeler, one of those brother labelers. They're like $30 on Amazon. Label your speakers, because it's going to help you if you got to go behind there and clean or something like that, and then reconnect everything back up. Because if you have 16 channels, that's a pain in the balls. You'll be going back and forth, plugging and unplugging, sending the little test tones between each speakers. But anyways, yeah, I'm probably going to hook that up into the system next week, and then I'll have a video. I'm shooting to have a review out for a 3800, maybe on Friday. But I think that's going to be a popular piece because, you know, it's not too expensive. It's $1,700, you know, in the grand scheme of things. You know, I get it. 17 is not super affordable for a lot of folks out there, but considering the price increases from Denon Marantz nowadays, that's pretty affordable for 11 channels of processing, although only nine amplified channels. That's still impressive for an 11 channel processor with 4 independent subwoofer outs, with possibly direct live update for a few $100s. So that's coming, hopefully coming next week. Tomorrow, either tomorrow, maybe late tonight, I hope to have the Perlisten D215 review done. I worked on my script already last night. I just gotta like shoot some B-roll and do some voiceover work. But I'm hoping, what time is it right now? It's like 6 o'clock. Maybe I'll get it up tonight, ready for tomorrow. But the D215 is in the works. That should be wrapped up in a day or so I can move in the M&K X15 Plus, which is another gigantic subwoofer, nearly as big as the Perlisten. They both have dual 15s. I have not heard the M&K yet. It's still sitting in my living room. I've been using it for my unboxings. So if you watch a couple of my unboxings, the little black table is actually the M&K subwoofer. I had just put a tablecloth on top of it. and been unboxing projectors and streamers and amplifiers on top of it. So keep a lookout on the Perlisten D215 review. That should be coming out maybe late tonight, maybe tomorrow night, but definitely before next week. What a fantastic subwoofer. A little pricey. It's $10,000. But yeah, man, that's yeah, expensive subwoofer for sure. Premium build. Maybe the best sounding subwoofer I've heard in its price category. I did the Avatar review, Avatar at the Cinema review last week. Very popular video, by the way. Like 14,000 of you guys watched that video. So I kind of cheated a little bit. I did a 3D review on the Sony 7000 ES, and I mixed it in with the Avatar review. So that way, you would have to watch the hardware review and then mix it in with the movie review, and then vice versa. But I must have seen Avatar like 4 or 5 times last week. I saw it in IMAX like 2D, 3D, IMAX 4K, 3D, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, standard, real D, 3D. So I saw it in multiple formats over a couple of days. So I'm a bit avatared out. But I did have to walk out when I saw it in the Dolby Vision, because it was in 2:3:5 aspect ratio or 2:3:9 aspect ratio, and then coming from the IMAX version, I couldn't sit and watch the Dolby Vision version because it was in widescreen, so I had to leave because I knew they were chopping off information on the top and bottom. Like some heads were missing foreheads, and some shots were missing legs, and I was like, oh man, I've seen this movie 1,000. I've seen it like 100 times in my home theater, and I just saw it on IMAX. So I know that there's so much information that was missing in the Dolby Vision theater that I saw it in. So I actually stayed like maybe like a quarter of the way through before I left, because I just felt like it was an unsatisfactory theatrical experience. So I did leave the widescreen versions of Avatar. I also think, I don't think anybody had mentioned it in any of the reviews so far, but I am almost positive that they use a pretty healthy amount of DNR in some shots. I mean, if you guys had seen it, then leave your comment and let me know if you noticed any DNR, because I know there's several prints of it, so I don't know why certain prints would have DNR and some wouldn't. But when I saw it in Dolby, I did notice some facial features and facial smoothings going on. Some details were scrubbed away. And I was thinking to myself, I said, oh shit, man, I can't leave yet. I got to sit here and watch a little bit longer to see if I am correct on this. So I took some mental notes and went back and watched it at home. And I felt like I was correct in that there was some detail being scrubbed away on the theatrical version. I mean, it was really nice for the most part. Like the colors in HDR look fantastic when I had seen it in Dolby and also in IMAX. So, I mean, there's that. Some shots did look better than the regular 1080p version, and then just some shots did not look as good. So I would be curious to see, what you guys had thought about that as well. Leave your comments, because I don't think nobody had left any comments about DNR in any thread that I had read, or even in my own comment section, except for one guy who did notice it. So kudos to you. I don't know what your name is, but you know who you are. But great transfer, really good transfer from what I could tell from the new re-release. The Avatar 2 little post-credit scene looked really good as well, so I'm really excited to see that. So I'm curious to see if you guys are curious to watch Avatar 2 in 3D at the theater. Like, how do you guys feel about Avatar nowadays? Is this something that gets you worked up about? Or do you not care about Avatar anymore? Leave your comment down below. And then I did review the 7000 ES 3D performance as well as the 4K performance. And unfortunately, this year, Sony had decided not to include the 3D emitter built into their projectors for whatever reason. If there was one aspect of Sony projectors that wins over JVC, I've always thought it was their 3D performance, and the fact that they included the emitter built into their projectors was always good. Because for the JVC, you had to spend like an extra $100 for their emitter. Whereas on the Sony now, it's like $800 for this expand emitter. I'm like, yo, seriously? Like their projector is $28,000. Now you got to spend another $800 for an emitter, which is nuts to me. At least JVC is definitely more cost effective. It's only like $100. It might be $150 now, but I know when I got it, it was like $100. But I really did like the 3D performance on the 7000 ES. And for the folks that think that 3D is totally dead, I mean, they are still making 3D Blu-rays nowadays. You have to import them from like Japan, but they're still pumping out 3D Blu-rays, you know, Marvel movies at least. You do have to import them. You got to pay like double the price of what it would have cost here. But just know that 3D is not 100% dead, especially with Avatar 2 coming out. I don't know if Black Adam's going to be in 3D or not, but I will I'll watch I will watch the 3D version of Black Adam if that is in 3D. But that is the Sony ES Expand 3D video that I did. Fantastic 3D. If you guys want to pick up the 3D kit for your Sony 6000, 7000 ES projectors, Value Electronics can definitely order those for you. A little bit pricey, but they will work with your existing Expand 3D glasses. The RF versions and not the 3D versions. I also did a video on the Silvox Deck Pro QLED television set, which again, not too many people watched. I guess people don't care about TVs, outdoor TVs. But this is essentially just a like 6 series LG television set, so entry-level TV set. They built a waterproof housing around it, which makes this maybe like 20-pound TV weigh about 50 pounds. So it's very heavy for a 55-inch TV set. I put this thing outside. I washed it down. We sprayed it with a hose. This thing just fucking rocks, man. It looks good. It's a good-looking TV for an outdoor set. That TV, I think it was like something like $1,700, but I think it might be on sale for like 14 or 15 right now. Considering that Samsung TVs are like $4,000 or $5,000 for an outdoor set, you know, for you folks out there with patios that want to put TVs outside, $1,500 seems like a steal for an outdoor TV set. Absolute steal for a television set. Because I know those Sunbright sets and the Samsung sets are no joke. Those are expensive TVs. So definitely check that vid out if you have not seen it already, and if you're in the market for a TV set that you need to work in the rain, the sleet, the snow, the hail. Silvox coming on strong with the TV set. That's outdoor, waterproof, IP65 rated. Oh, IP55 rated. Then we also did the M&K, which I talked about earlier already. And shout out for most of you guys. I'm sure you guys have noticed that I have incorporated my wife in the last 2 videos that I did. Actually, last 3 videos now. I did a video with her on Bullet Train, the Bullet Train 4K review, which is a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, it looks really good in 4K. The Atmos, not so much, but the 4K transfer of Bullet Train looks fantastic. I'm going to say it's up there in Aquaman status as far as like nice saturated, heavily saturated, bright, vivid colors. You get a lot of neons, like nice specular highlights, nice contrasty image. Bullet Train is going to be it for you. So definitely check that out. If you're a Brad Pitt fan, check it out. A lot of little cameos in there, a lot of nice A-list actors in the movie as well. But my wife helped me in that video. She showed up, although my camera, the secondary camera, did not fire off, so I was unable to capture her shot. So you kind of like saw like half of her face in my camera. So she helped me do that review. That was her intro into the Shane Lee YouTube channel. She's usually helping me out shoot my videos. The the past few videos, sometimes you might see some out of focus shots. Listen, she's not a professional videographer, but we're giving her some tips on how to work the focus on the camera. So I know some of you guys get a little butthurt about some of these out of focus shots, but they have been getting better lately. So just so you know, she also helped me out on the unboxing of the M&K subwoofer. And then she helped me out 2 days ago on the unboxing of the JVC NZ8 8K projector, 4K 8K projector. And I will say, I'm going to say about 99% of you have been pretty receptive about the newest edition on the channel. So thank you for that. There's only been maybe 1 or 2 comments that were body shaming-esque comments or sexual-esque comments that I had to remove. So for any of you guys watching the video, if you do feel the need to do any kind of body shaming comments on my wife or any other guests that I have on the channel, just know that even though I don't care if you say it about me, but if you say it on the guests, and especially my wife, if you want to do a body shaming comment or a sexual comment, a negative sexual comment, I will have to block you. I typically don't block people, but I will block you if you leave a derogatory comment such as that is not directed towards me. For me, I don't care. I could take the comments. I've been dealing with it for 5 years. But for other people that might appear on my channel, either body negativity comments such as weight or looks or what have you, not good. Like don't do it. But I will say that I'm gonna say like 99% of the stuff, like maybe like 99.5% of the comments, has been very positive. So I appreciate those nice comments, and also she appreciates the kind comments as well. And it seems like it's been working pretty good. She seems to like the camera. She's been warming up to the camera, so you may see her in not only some more 4K reviews, maybe not the technical breakdown part, but just whether it's a good movie or not a good movie. Just thoughts on like if it's something worthy of watching, which I started doing on a bullet train. And then maybe just helping me out in some of my unboxing videos and maybe like some setup stuff on the videos as well. Of course, again, not the technical breakdown stuff because she doesn't know too much technical stuff about the AV products I review or even like what they are. But it's nice to have a helping hand, not only just for like camera work, but some of the stuff is pretty heavy and it definitely helps out keeping the edits down. Sometimes I have to edit the footage of where I'm struggling to take stuff out of boxes or whatever. So it's cool to have a helping hand do that. And I think it's a little change of pace as well. So thanks for the nice comments. She thanks you. I thank you. Just be looking forward to more videos with me and not only my wife, but other people as well. So thanks for that. But other than that, that is pretty much all that I have covered the past week or two, the past few weeks. So if you missed any videos, Dead on Video Macintosh video, I got a vlog in there as well. Bullet Train Avatar. So check out those videos. Those are fun videos to do. So I had a good time doing some of that stuff. Well, let's see what else we got here. Any good, interesting comments? I'm from Brazil. Thanks for all the lessons. Oh, what's up, Aricio Batista? Aricio, always commenting on my Instagram page. If you guys are not on my Instagram, sometimes I'll show products that I'm going to review that do not show up on the YouTube channel. So if you're not following me there, definitely follow me there. I watched Bullet Train in Dolby Cinema and it looked great. Yes, it did. Definitely going to be probably in the top 10 for the end of the year best looking movie list. Do you have any viable reason to review the Stark SW12? I recently picked it up and it is a powerhouse. It is only my 3rd sub that I've acquired other than the Polk HTS12 and Polk SW505. I could review it if I wanted to. Right now I have a Stark Fiera 8 8-channel amplifier that I'm reviewing currently, which we're going to shoot a review for tomorrow. But as far as that particular subwoofer, no, I have not reviewed that subwoofer. I did do the 15-inch, And if the 15-inch is any indication of what the 12-incher would sound like, then I'm assuming for the money, it's probably definitely up there for one of the better performing 12-inch subs that you could probably buy, because their 15-inch was, I still say that their 15-inch might be the best sounding under $1,000, or even maybe the best sounding under $800 subwoofer that I've reviewed. I think the only other subwoofer under $1,000 might be the Shure subwoofer, HSU. I think they pronounce it Shure. That was, at the time, it was $900 when I had reviewed it. That is a 15-inch sub as well, a much bigger cabinet than the Stark SW15, and the Shure would be in the same league, I would say, as the Stark SW15. So under $1,000. But I think the SW12 was something like, what, $500, or maybe cheaper? Was it like $300, $350 or something? But no, I don't plan on reviewing that anytime soon. I got a lot of subwoofers coming in. I also have a very big subwoofer coming in tomorrow. I had put up a poll recently on models that people might be interested in me reviewing, which was the M&K, Power Sound Audio, JL Audio, and then RBH. In that list, I will say that I do have 3 of those subwoofers coming in. So 2 more left since I've already got the M&K in. So out of the remaining 3, I do have a confirmed 2 out of the last 3 coming in. And one of them is coming in tomorrow. And I will say, it's a big one. I mean, if you're on my Patreon or my YouTube membership, then you know what subwoofer it is already. So that is finally coming in tomorrow. It's taken about 3 weeks for it to come back in stock. So it finally got shipped, and it is getting delivered tomorrow. So be on the lookout for maybe a quick little unboxing of that subwoofer. Maybe Sunday, Saturday or Sunday. I am excited. And this is a subwoofer that, I actually had to pay for. Usually the subwoofer is when I get them in. Usually when I get subwoofers in, I get like these review samples that I have to send back, but there's only like maybe like two brands that I have not been able to get in unless I bought them, and one of them I was not willing to pay for, and then the other one I did pay for. I paid for it myself. So shout out to you guys on my Patreon for helping me secure this particular subwoofer. So thank you for that. Thank you for supporting the channel and helping me get the subwoofer so I can do a review on it, because I don't think anybody has done a review on it yet. And you'll find very few reviews on this particular sub or this particular brand. So be on the lookout for that. At least an unboxing coming in probably Saturday or Sunday. Juan says, any chance you'll be reviewing any of the new KEF speakers, KEF reference metas, and of the LS60s? Pretty slim chance that I'm going to review any of the KEF speakers. I don't think they liked the last review that I did, so they kind of ghosted me. So no, that's not going to be on the list of products or on the list of brands anymore, since they just kind of left me hanging. Listen, sometimes when you get review samples in and you don't give them a positive review, some of these guys, they just ghost you. They just disappear. So that's definitely one of the brands. Storm Audio, by the way. So yeah. So if you're a reviewer and you don't leave good reviews, these fools will leave you hanging. What else we got here? Elitist reviews. I reviewed the HTS12. It's average. I'm not sure what the HTS12 is, but apparently it's average. Magic Lakes. Is that Magic Lakes or is it Magic Lakers? Hey Shane, do you keep your LCR levelers identical or do you boost the center channel? Secondly, do you keep all speakers level at 75? I do keep all my speakers at the same level, all the LCR. I try to keep everything at the same level. So LCR, if you were to run a ruler across the LCR, tops of the LCRs and the surrounds, they tend to be level. Although, since my screen is higher up than my surround channels are, I did raise my LCRs behind my screen so they are in the center of my screen. Because when I had them level with my surround channels, my screen is a little bit higher than how I sit. Then if I'm in my theater, I'm watching a movie, my head is usually up, so my screen's a little bit higher when I'm watching. When you go to the movie theaters and you're watching a movie, unless you're in the back row, you're probably kind of looking up at the screen. That's kind of how I have my home theater set up, where the screen's a little bit higher. So when I had the LCRs level with my surround speakers, the image would be up, and then the voices would be eye level. So it would look a little bit off. It would seem like the words were not coming from the people's mouths. It seemed like it was coming from their chest. So I did raise my LCRs up to the center of my screen, so then everything looked like it was coming from the actors' faces. And like when cars and stuff would move by, it sounded like it was, like all level behind the screen. So as far as that is concerned, yes, the LCRs are level, all level. They're just not level with my surround speakers. My surround speakers are actually a little bit lower than my LCRs. And yes, I do keep all my speakers at the 75 dB. Do you know streaming Dolby Atmos, Dolby Digital Plus are in a 7.1 bass or 5.1 bass? I guess that would depend. It would tell you if it's 5.1 or 7.1. But I do believe it is, I believe it's 7.1 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it would have to be 7.1. Well, depending on what movie it is. If you're watching like on iTunes, if it's in Atmos, it's most likely gonna be 7.1. Otherwise, it would just be 5.1 only or Atmos / 7.1. I don't think I've ever watched a movie, an Atmos movie, either streaming or on physical, where it reverted to 5.1 while I had dedicated back speakers. I don't think I've ever experienced that yet. So I would say 7.1. I just ordered a Samsung 75-inch QN900B for living room. Can't wait for delivery Saturday. What's the first HDR movie I should watch immediately? What's the first HDR movie you should watch immediately? I would say, what's a great HDR? Listen, if you have Bullet Train, if you haven't seen it yet, that's a great HDR movie. Of course, the go-tos are Aquaman. That's a great one. If you haven't seen it, I would pick a movie that you haven't seen yet. For me personally, I wouldn't go back and rewatch another movie. If you haven't, yeah, there you go. If you haven't seen Ambulance, go watch Ambulance. That's a great HDR movie as well. I'm assuming not many people seen Ambulance, but that's a fantastic. That might be the best looking HDR movie this year. Elvis is also another standout movie for HDR. Check out Elvis. It's on digital. It's on HBO Max if you have HBO Max. So check out those movies. Does your MC207, it's a 257, really make the difference? I'm considering if I should use a new amp just for heights and surround. How about Parasound? Well, I guess it would depend on the level of surround of height speakers that you have. If you have height speakers that are equally or just as good as your LCRs, then I would go with a compatible matching power output rating amplifier as your LCRs. Despite what you might think or what other people tell you, there can be a substantial amount of information in your surround and in your height channels. So I wouldn't just go Macintosh MC257 for your high channels, then and run everything off of an Emotiva lower, bed layer amp. So I don't know what you're running for your bed channels, but if you have a 207 as your bed channel amp, I would, if you can swing another 207 for your high channels, I would do that. But of course, like I said, you would have to have some speakers of equal performance from your LCRs. Like if you got some big towers as your LCRs, then you got some in-ceiling little 6.5-inch height channels, then no, the 207 is not going to really do anything difference for you. Between the Denon X4800H and the A1H, there's a big price jump. It's a huge price jump. Is there going to be any more models between these two, such as the 67 or 8500H replacement? I believe the 8500H, I believe the A1H is the 8500 replacement, if I'm not mistaken. But I know there's not a replacement for the 6700, at least not yet. I would assume probably maybe next year you might hear something about that, but I think the 67 is still kind of like in their lineup. But I haven't heard. I think it's the same with like the Marantz 8015. There's like no direct replacement for that yet either. So I think like the 6700 and then like the 8015, nothing's really been announced that's gonna take over those price points. But I wouldn't be surprised if you hear something soon. What else we got here? Anything else good? Oh, here's an AudioQuest question. Aaron and Greg, when do you think they are going to change the standard instead of 5.1 to 5.2, 7.2 to 9.2? Also, how do you like the AudioQuest HDMIs? Well, they're definitely not going to change it, as far as I know, from 5.1 to 5.2, because they're essentially the same thing, because the LFE channel is only a single channel. So regardless if it says 7.2, 9.2, 11.2, that really just means 9.1, 7.1, 9.1, 11.1. So the LFE channel is only one channel. When they say 0.2, they're usually making you think that it usually means that for an AVR, it's just letting you know that there are two subwoofer outs, when in actuality, there's only a single subwoofer or LFE output channel. But 5.1 to 5.2 is the same thing, and 7.1, 7.2 is the same thing. But I don't think they're ever, at least not yet. I don't think they're gonna move away from having one dedicated subwoofer channel to two dedicated subwoofer channels. And as far as the AudioQuest HDMIs, I use AudioQuest HDMI cables. I have not had one break yet. I've also have some monoprice HDMI cables, and I also have some generic HDMI cables, and they all work equally as well. So I guess either, if you have a nice looking rack and you want your AV rack to be pretty, go with AudioQuest. Otherwise, I'm sure you'll be happy with some cheaper brands. Have I seen The Guns of Neverone? One of the best examples of Dolby Atmos, especially for a movie which is 60 years old. I have not seen The Guns of Neverone. The only other movie that I had watched somewhat recently that was old, that was a classic movie that people were so amped up about that sounded great in Atmos, I think might have been Apocalypse Now. And then maybe 2001, Space Odyssey. And I wasn't blown away by either of those movies. People were kind of amped up about those mixes, but I think, like some of these older movies where I watched recently too, I think it was not Nightmare on Elm Street. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Sometimes they'll just take those 5.1 mixes or 2.1 mix or just two channel mixes and just throw sound in the overheads, and they'll just like crank up the music. They'll just throw some music up there and it sounds really loud when you're not really getting really discrete info. And I'm 100% positive there's no discrete mixing going on in a 60-year-old movie. So you're probably just getting some mono sounds being thrown in the heights or in the surrounds just to make it seem really loud. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe they added some extra effects like Star Wars. But I'm pretty sure they probably didn't. So if you're just hearing a lot of noise in these older movies in the surround channels, like to me, I would probably just watch it in its natural 2.1, 1.0 mono mix, because some of these older mixes, they just sound like shit, and people just get so amped up because their speakers are making noise. That's one thing I find when sometimes I'll look through the forums. They're just like, oh man, there's so much activity going on in the high channels, and then when I hear it, it's just like amped up music, and it's just overly loud, and it sounds like shit. So I don't know. I can't speak for that. I have not seen that movie. I'm just gonna say it probably sounds like shit to me. It's a 6-year-old movie, so it probably just sounds like garbage. I could be wrong though. Maybe I'll check it out just to say, I was wrong. But I would anticipate that movie not sounding that great in Atmos. But if you say it's good, hey, maybe it is. It would be badass to see you review the 1212 XTZ subwoofer and all of the dual driver monoprice subs, duals of each model, of course. I've been waiting for the XTZ 1212s, but they've been kind of out of stock for a while. Plus, they don't have any distribution here in the US. But I was fortunate enough; they did send me their 12s, and back to the question of what is a good sounding, budget subwoofer. I forgot about the XTZ. The XTZ is definitely under $1,000. HSU subwoofers, the Shu subwoofers, SW15, and then also the XTZ subs, all under $1,000. Fantastic sounding, performing subs for under $1,000. They're still in my system. I still use them up front, and then I use the big one. I've been using one single gigantic sub in the back, so I've been like kind of crossing over the subwoofers, the XTZs to about like 40 hertz. Then I send the rest over to another subwoofer for the ULF stuff. But yeah, man, I've been trying to get that. The monoprice stuff, everybody's done monoprice to death, so I'm probably not going to do monoprice ever. Plus, I think they kind of look ugly. So, see, if there's one thing, I'm trying to think. Usually the products I review, I have to be, I know some people are the same way. Like some of the products I review, I got to be attracted to it. I got to be attracted to the product. Like if I think it's an ugly looking product, like some of the Arcam stuff and the monoprice stuff, HTP1, those are some really hideously designed electronics. And like, if I'm not comfortable, if I just don't find the product aesthetically pleasing, I just won't review it. Unless it's like super, super popular, super hard to get. Other than that, I just won't review it. And those subwoofers, I just don't find aesthetically pleasing. That's why I haven't reviewed them or even inquired about them. I know some reviews just will do it just for the views and stuff, but yeah, man, I gotta review some stuff that I like. Most of the stuff that I review, I would personally own myself. So if I'm reviewing something, just know that I would own it myself. Unless it looks really great, aesthetically pleasing to me, and it just doesn't perform. But I gotta be attracted to it. I gotta be attracted to the product to go after it. It's kind of like trying to get yourself a date. If you're a guy or a girl or whatever, you got to be attracted to the person, right? In order for you for them to be approachable. Otherwise, you're not going to waste your time on it. I find it to be the same way for electronics, for AV gear, at least. And there you go. Agreed. No matter how good a speaker sounds, if I don't like the look of it, it can be a deal breaker. There you go. At least I'm not the only one. Walberto Rivas, thank you for the super chat. I have an Anthem AVM70. What volume do set the pair of subs? SVS SB 1000 Pros before I run ARC. I would get your SPL meter and try to level match everything to 75 or 85. And then after ARC runs its room correction, you might find yourself bumping up the subs a couple levels higher. I think typically most people run their subs about 6 dB hotter than the 75 or 85 dB reference level. So I will match all your speakers. I don't know how ARC works nowadays. Maybe the new Genesis level matches for you, but for me, for the Trinov, I level everything out to 75 before I start, and then it does its room correction, and then I go back, and then I might boost it. I think I boost it from like what I boost it from like 40, I think from like 40 hertz on down. I give it like a little 6 dB boost. So I would just start off with everything level at first, and then after room correction, add season to taste, so to speak. You know, if you want your subs a little bit hotter, then run them a little bit hotter. But thank you for the super chat. Hey, congrats on a beautiful looking wife. Well, thank you, Pete Cap. She appreciates that comment. Looking forward to that M&K review. I've had a crush on that brand since I read about them way back in the Sound and Vision magazine. Just know that M&K today is a totally different brand than M&K back in the 90s. I don't want to go into the history of it, but you can Google it. But the owner now has his own brand of speakers called the Ken Crizzle speakers, which I think are only sold in like China or Japan. I could be wrong on that, but I think they're only sold overseas. But M&K as now, well, back then, they've been bought out by, I believe, a Danish company. I think they're Danish. So they've taken over the name and the designs. So they're not exactly the same M&K from back then. Like I used to own, actually, I own some M&K speakers here. My desktop mixing speakers, my desktop monitor speakers are actually M&Ks. These are original M&Ks. The originals, look at that right there. So these are the speakers I use to mix my videos with, which I use on the daily. The original M&Ks. But yeah, I'm glad to finally get some of those speakers in. I've been asking them since like 2017 for them to send me some speakers, and they finally caved in and said, okay, we'll send you a 15-incher. SVS Prime speakers, your thoughts? I have not heard them personally. I've only seen them, I think I've seen them in Best Buy. But yeah, man, if you got a whole SVS system, I like the design of them. They got that wedge. I'm assuming you're talking about the wedge ones that are used for like height speakers. But yeah, I like that. Actually, no, Brian has them. Brian has them in his theater, in his home theater, and they sound good. They sound good for sure. They sound different than his regular speakers, but for what they are, they sound good for what they do. I don't have any problems with them. If you have SVS speakers, I would definitely get them. Have you ever reviewed any power sound audio speakers? Heard the MT100s, and the clarity was amazing for 750. Never heard a compression tweeter before. Also, they were extremely loud. The only compression tweeters that I've got are the Procellas, the Procella speakers, which are in my theater now. If they sound anything like that, I am sure they must sound pretty darn good. But no, I have not heard their speakers. Although I might be hearing their subwoofer soon, so we'll see. What else we got here? Oh yeah, the mono price isn't pretty. But all right, it's almost 7 o'clock here. I'm gonna log off. I gotta get some dinner ready. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out today. If you are not a subscriber over on my other channel, which is Dynamically Challenged. You can find these live streams over there if you want to go back and rewatch them. They're going to be over there. I usually stream on this one and on the second channel at the same time. So type in Dynamically Challenged if you're not a subscriber over there. And also, if you do want to support the channel, you can also sign up for Patreon as well as YouTube memberships. They're $1 a month. Or if you want to support a little bit more, $5 a month. Or if you want to support a little bit more, it's $10 a month. So you can get some exclusive content on upcoming videos that I'm doing over there. Also, direct contact to me if you just want to chit chat or ask some questions or whatever. Giveaways, stuff like that over there. You can always reach me there as well for $1 a month, $5 or $10 a month, or also on the YouTube membership channel as well. Same benefits as on Patreon is also on the YouTube membership. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.